Hello, we're looking in your Geometry Part 1 textbook. This is found on page 123. We're looking at problem number 3. This is in lesson 2.6, which is talking about proving angles congruent. There are actually two ways to prove congruency, or to do proofs. One is called a formal proof, where we've done these before, where you list, and I think problem number 2 actually deals with this, but where you have your statements down one side and then your reasons down the other. It's more of again, a good word for it. It is formal because everything's kind of laid out more specifically. But the second way is this problem that we're looking at in problem number 3. It's called a paragraph proof. And a paragraph proof simply is saying the same thing, but you're simply, if you'll notice down here, you're writing it like you would just write any paragraph, kind of giving your reasoning for how you would solve a particular problem. Now, we look at these three. There's three angles over here labeled as 1, 2, and 3. Now, you're given that angle 1 and 2 are supplementary, so these two together will add up to be 180 degrees, and that 2 and 3, these two, add up to be 180 degrees. What you're trying to prove is if 1 and 3 are supplementary and 2 and 3 are supplementary, then 1 and 2 must be equal to each other. Now, most of us say, well, that makes common sense, but proofs mean you've got to understand or believe that someone doesn't understand that, and you've got to find a way to clarify that to them. So let's always start with the given. It says angle 1 and angle 2 are supplementary because it was given. So, just like I said to you a second or two ago, because 1 and 3 are supplementary, then 1 plus the measure of angle 3 is 180. And that's the definition of supplementary angles. When we say two things are supplementary, of course, it means they add up to be 180 degrees. We also know that angle 2 and angle 3 are supplementary because it was given. So that means that the measure of angle 2 plus the measure of angle 3 also equals 180 degrees by the same supplementary angle definition. Okay? Now, by the transitive property of equality, the measure of 1 plus the measure of angle 3 equals the measure of angle 2 by the measure of angle 3. Where that's coming from is if these two add up to be 180 and these two add up to be 180, because both of those right there are 180, then these are equal to these. They have to be. That's called the transitive property. So that's why the measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 3 is equal to the measure of angle 2 plus the measure of angle 3. Now, if we subtract the measure of angle 3 from both sides, which is what this is saying to do, by the subtraction property of equality, which says as long as you subtract the same thing from both sides, you end up with still an equality, or the statement is still equal. If we take the measure of angle 3 off of both of those, what we're left with is the measure of angle 1 equals the measure of angle 2. And angles with the same measure are considered to be congruent. So the measure, you don't say the measure anymore, you just say angle 1 is congruent to angle 2. All right? This is just a little bit more informal. You're stating your facts, but you're writing them in a paragraph format rather than a left column and a right column, which is what a two-column or a formal proof would look like. Okay? Best of luck on these.